I'm just wetting the paper at the moment. It's a soothing sort of thing to do. Just putting clean water on a blank piece of paper. And let's add some colour. I'm going to put some blues here and then probably some greens. I'm working with the Kuretake paints. They spread really well. I don't know what I'm going to create here. It's middle of November and I suppose Advent is coming towards Christmas. And I paint pictures like this when I'm feeling less than complete, less than perfect. In other words, to try to improve my mood, my feeling. I don't know, yesterday I was upset, but mostly I'm upset because somebody has died. Not somebody I personally knew, although I did see him in person once, but somebody who was important during the pandemic. And it's the Dean Robert Willis, who I have mentioned before, and he and his partner Fletcher organised the Garden Congregation, which was morning prayer for people who were unable to go to church during the pandemic. And I found a lot of support in what he did. I'm not a traditionally religious person, but I do have a spiritual side. And he was very interesting and important. The things he was saying seemed to matter and did. And then the sad thing was that after he reached a certain age, he was basically removed from the Church of England, and so his messages on YouTube stopped. But he was able to reconstruct his ministry with the help of Fletcher, and he went to America and was travelling around preaching and talking and having conversations and enjoying life. And then suddenly, a couple of weeks ago, he just had a heart failure and suddenly, completely unexpectedly died. And he was 77, I think. So that's all too young, really. I don't understand quite why he was taken so suddenly and so soon, and I feel terrible for Fletcher. Anyway, I don't want to make you feel unhappy too. And what I'm going to do, I've made this wet and I've made it blue, and I'm going to now pick up some green. Oops, I think I might clean my toothbrush first. I'm going to do some spatter because spatter makes you happy. And so we'll do this. No idea where this is going to go. I'm hoping that it's going to turn into a sort of leafy thing. I get some forest gump green, and we'll just put this on, and I think I might put some gold and stuff like that on, but let's do it this way first. lots of different greens. And if it wants to go blobby, let it go blobby. That's actually probably a good idea. That one's got very wet, hasn't it? I think, well, I'm not going to think, I'm just going to blob. If you haven't got the Kuretake set, don't worry, you can do this with any colours, any paints, anything. It's just a game, just a playtime. I think I might pick it up and let it move around a bit. And then I think I might use my hairdryer on it just to dry it off. Okay, so this is dry now, and I am going to just literally put some shapes on top of here using the same greens that I just did the background in. And I'm following one of my own tutorials here, one that I did, I don't know when, a while back, where I just put different shapes on top of a random background and then just let it go where it wanted to go. So I'm going to basically try to do the same thing again, because I don't actually feel as if I have it in me to do anything else, basically. But I have to do something. That's the way it is, you know. That's the way the world works, isn't it? It bullies you around and makes you act even when you don't want to, for whatever reason. And you never know what's going to happen. You might find suddenly you make a nice colour like that and you think, where did that come from? Probably the next thing I do will be horrible. I'm not trying to make the edges even or, you know, perfect in any way. In fact, I think it's quite good if the colour that I'm putting on kind of runs and blobs and blends. It's just playing with colour and not trying to achieve anything other than to make a video, of course, which we have to achieve. Blues and greens. And maybe a touch of purple. I think I need a palette. That's the one thing about the Kuretake colours. The set, when you get this box with the set, there's nowhere to mix colours. And that's why when I'm at home, I have them all arranged on a big tray. And that actually helps quite a bit because it's always got something there to mix onto. And if you haven't got something to mix on, then it definitely is inhibiting. I honestly do think that it's important to have something just to try your colour out on, to mix perhaps two colours together. Not always, sometimes. You know, I remember I said a little while ago, you should always do such and such, and then I realised I should never say. I should never say you should always do something, because that's not true. You never ought to always do anything, should you? I don't know where this is going to go. If it's going to go anywhere, probably in the bin. But what I did last time, when I did something like this, I kind of put shapes all over the piece of background and then I came in afterwards and put leaves and things on top. So maybe I'll do that again. It'll be different, don't worry. You won't be seeing the same thing. I think probably the important thing is to try to say something, don't you think? You know, been watching various videos on YouTube from lots of men there. Why are there so many men telling us what we should think, say, and do? I'm trying to find women. If you have any suggestions for interesting, thoughtful. I mean, I know there's one lady. Actually, I remember her name because it's the same as mine. Her name's Diane Moore. She's quite interesting. I listen to her, and there's a few others whose names I don't remember. I'm not very good at names. So I'm going over all of these shapes that I had done. I'm going over with a lighter, kind of more of a gouache kind of colour, kind of light turquoisey blue, just to break up what I did and make it less obvious where the lines are. So I'm going to do that, and then once that's dry, I'm going to paint something over the top of it, I think. You better stay with me and find out. Okay, it's hairdryer time now, again. So that's dry now. I dried it with a hairdryer, and I'm going to pick up some black. I've switched to a round brush here. This is a round 14. I started off with the mop brush, and then I was using the cat's tongue, and now I've switched to a round brush, and I'm going to put in, using black, just a curvy line, which is a little bit something like starting with a neurographic art kind of thing, and that's something that we might revisit at some point. But as I said, I am trying to basically sort of follow my own video that I did a while ago when I was feeling a bit emotionally battered. And so I thought, well, why not take my own advice? So I'm not going to do it exactly the same, obviously, but because you never do, even if you wanted to, you couldn't in any way, not even remotely. So I'm going to just sort of follow the guidelines that I gave myself and see what happens. I think I quite like this dark contrast. Seems to suit the mood somehow. We've just had Remembrance Day as well in England on the 11th of November, or at least I think they did it. The ceremony was on the 10th, which is always a very sad thing to see, and watching people, the king looking really unwell and old, and I don't know. I have to try and brighten myself up, don't I? I can feel you saying, oh, come on, cheer up, it's not that bad. And it isn't. It could be worse, no doubt about it. And I'm here in Cairo, and it's interesting, and, I'm not complaining. It's just we all have days, don't we, when we don't really feel quite as cheerful as we would want to. I'm probably coming down with a cold. Hope not. Okay, so there is a curvy branch with some black leaves. I'm going to come and put some gold on top of those. I like dark colour because, it's a good foil for the gold, which we will be going to add. And I'm now going to pick up some some lighter colours. Maybe we won't go there just yet, but what goes with black, I suppose, is purple, only a bit lighter, maybe. Maybe I'll turn that round. We'll put some thinner. That's okay. And then we need some green. I don't know what's the matter with my voice. That's not dark enough, is it? Let's try that again. Make these kind of misty, shaky colours. And it's time for the hairdryer again. So I've got my Coliro pearly colours here, which I did wet earlier, but which doesn't look like they've actually activated themselves. I was looking into the subject of gum arabic the other day, and I was listening to a video actually by Hazel Sohn, who was saying that, and I don't know whether she's right about this. She probably is, because Hazel is a very well-known and very, very experienced artist. But she was saying that the gum arabic gets kind of used up in a pan of paints, or I suppose even in liquid paint. And after a while, the paint will dry out, kind of thing, and it won't reactivate. And I didn't realize that was true. That's not something, I always thought that you could always reactivate your watercolors. But she says that there comes a time when you can't. So that's interesting. And maybe that happens to something like this, which, you know, I've reactivated and reactivated and reactivated many times. Maybe eventually, perhaps, I don't know. I don't know whether that is the case. I don't know whether there's anything else, in other words, I don't know whether there's anything else in these paints that would stop that from happening. You might want to watch that video, actually. I'll try and remember to put a link in the description below. I haven't watched all of it yet because it's quite long, but it's very interesting. She's talking a lot about paints and her choice of paints and why she chooses certain paints and so on, which is quite interesting. She's a very skilled and experienced. I mean, I can't speak too highly of her, really. She's got lots of books and she knows what she's doing. Yeah. So anyway, I'm putting veins in those dark leaves, and then I'm going to pick up some more gold. And I'm going to put some dots and things, dots and dashes in various places, just because it's nice to do, going over the different layers that I've already put in. Let's put some over here, perhaps. Yeah, maybe these leaves would like to be outlined, so I'll just put a very narrow line around the outside of these ones. I don't know if you can hear the traffic outside. The window's open slightly today. It's November in Cairo, which is one of the colder months of the year. It gets colder after Christmas, actually, colder still. And we were here once in February, or January. It was just after Christmas, and had to go rushing out to buy coats because we'd come to Egypt thinking it was going to be relatively warm, and it wasn't. We actually ended up buying quilted jackets and everything, and then we made a terrible mistake, really, and we bought all these thick jackets and we were wearing them in Cairo. It was me and Tamsin, just on our own for a few days, and then we decided, or we had already arranged, to go up to Luxor to stay in a hotel up there. And we thought, no, we won't need to take these coats there because it's that much further south and it'll be hot. So we left all the coats that we'd just bought behind. And when we got there, it was fine during the daytime. It was boiling hot, very sunny and warm and everything. But at night, the temperature just plummeted. And we could hardly go outside because we had to go outside to get to the hotel restaurant. And it was freezing, absolutely freezing. And we were wrapping ourselves up in all the scarves that we'd bought and everything. We didn't have any coats. It was so stupid. Honestly, never make that mistake again. When you do that once, you always forget, the desert, it gets cold at night, and in the winter, it really does. I'm sure it's the same in desert regions in America as well. Right, so I've gone round the outside of that one too. I feel like putting lots of gold on here because I'm going to just put it in the middle of these ones. It brightens it up, doesn't it? And if you can brighten up your painting, then you can probably brighten up your mood. So let's put a few more dots over here now. That's looking somewhat better. What I did in the other one, I'm going to do some. I didn't do this in the other one. I used ink, but I don't think I brought any ink with me. So I'm going to mix some purple in with my gold. I've got gold here as well in this set. It does have gold, so we'll do that. And let's put some more lines just for texture. And you have to remember, whenever you do a design like this, if you do one feature in one place, it's a rule. I just made it up. It's my rule. You must do it somewhere else as well, otherwise it doesn't look right. And I'm going to make these shapes a bit more noticeable. I think I'm coming towards the end here. Just going to emphasize the roundness of some of these circles. I don't know why, but just thought I would. And I think I'm going to stop in a minute. You could go on and on doing a lot more, as I often say. But it's a case of knowing when to call it a day. As I'm working on this, I'm sort of finding these shapes in the background which want to emerge. So I just thought I would kind of just emphasize them a little bit. And yeah, nearly there. I feel like almost stopping. I'm going to take my gold acrylic pen and just put some dots on these. Not many. I just like doing these dots. You have to try this. This is Artex, I think. Or is it Lightwish? Hang on. Artex, yes. Don't forget, in the description below. I might put some dots on here too. Right, well, I don't know whether that's finished, but it's done for now. I think I've been painting long enough. I think I've managed to lift my mood a bit. And I shall say goodbye for now, and I will see you again soon. Have a go at doing this if you're feeling down in the dumps. It will help, for sure. Just get some colour on the paper, add some leaves. They're so easy to paint, and they just kind of, by the time it's dry, and this isn't completely dry yet, but when that's fully dry, that will probably actually look okay. And if it doesn't, then we can come back in again with a bit more glitter and sparkle and emphasize the gold and so on and so forth. But yeah, I shall let you go, and I'll see you again soon. So I'll say bye-bye for now, everybody, and have a lovely day. See you soon. Bye now.